Hi, in this video I'm going to show you the three cameras I've used the most in the last 40 years, including my smartphone. This was my first camera. I bought it in 1979, the Canon AE-1. It was my first SLR, single lens reflex camera. Nowadays they have the digital SLRs, DSLRs. So there is a shutter button and a lock, right, a timer. And here is the place where you put your shutter cable, so you don't have any camera shake. Manual wind and shutter speed, because this was a this was a shutter priority camera. And here's my film roll. I open it up and you can see the film wrapped up here, and this is the shutter. It's very old. It has collected some fungus and dust and all that. I haven't done anything about it, and I am not using it at all now. Basically, I used to have a power winder, and now it's just collecting dust and fungus in my house. I took a lot of pictures with it, from slides and photographs, and they weren't really that cheap to take photographs, because every time you take a photograph you have to go and process it and print it out. And you have to be very careful how many photographs you took, and what was the quality of the photograph. So you had to do a lot of planning, what I'm going to shoot, what I'm not going to shoot, and that kind of stuff, and how I'm going to adjust my shutter speed. The beauty of this camera was that it was the first electronic camera where the camera itself told you what was the apertures and the shutter speed to be used. And so it had a microcomputer inside to control the exposure, and to show you the exposure and the shutter speed to be used. And that was fantastic in those days. That was fantastic. So now these cameras was first on sale in, I think, 1976, and for 8 years they sold, I think, more than 1 million cameras. It was one of the best selling cameras on the market then, and I don't know if there's any other camera who has come close to that record. This was the battery case. A very small battery was inside. I don't know whether I can open it. There. It's a very small battery. And that was all. So this was my first camera, my introduction to SLR photography. This was my second camera. It's a point-and-shoot Nikon. I was learning how to use digital cameras, and so I bought this. I actually had a Sony before that, but that was a really very slow and not very effective, or not good for blogging. And when it broke down, I bought this. I think I bought this in 2014 or 2015. So it's about 5-6 years, at least 5 years old, and it has degraded. The plastic is disintegrating gradually, and so parts of it stopped working, failing. See, the battery lock has come off, so the battery won't stay inside. And then there was a heat sensor inside there, which one day when I was photographing one of my recipes while it was boiling, the heat of the pot managed to reach this camera, which is about 2, 3, 4 feet away, and I shut the camera down because the camera thought that the lithium battery inside was overheating, and the sensor broke, and after that I had to send it for repair because it wouldn't start up again. So from there I realized that actually lithium ion batteries are not safe to use. You have to be careful that children don't misuse it. They are actually quite dangerous. They have to have some form of heat sensor protection to block it from exploding. But this was a very good camera. It had a function button which I could assign for an interval timer. And a lot of my bread rising videos are based on that. It had aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode, almost everything I needed in a camera. It had a wide angle and telephoto zoom lens, and I don't know whether I can switch it on. And it also has 120 frames per second photography, video photography, which I seldom use. Actually, what happened was, for the first few years, I didn't realize that there was a video capability in digital cameras. It was only later, after the second or third year, that I started to use the video to make videos of my recipes. So let's see whether we switch on. So if the battery doesn't fit, it won't switch on. That. Okay, there it is. See? And you can see the menu. Quite basic, but it does everything that I required, right? Which is very good. And it was very easy to make videos. Even though it's 60 megapixels, for videos you don't need that high resolution. You can get reasonably good videos out of it. And but the only thing is it doesn't have an external mic, so I'm stuck with that. But it was very good. I did quite a number of videos, and then as it started disintegrating, I mean the camera was slowly falling apart, I had to do something about my blogs, videos. So I put it aside and bought a Sony A5100. So I'm using this, my Oppo, what do you call it, A71, or is it the 1801 handphone as my alternative camera when I am using the Sony A5100. For demonstrating that camera, I will use this to photograph the camera. See? So it's got nice features. I can zoom in and zoom out. The stupid screens sometimes doesn't work, right? And the thing about this smartphone camera is it's so easy to shake and wobble, because it's, see how slim it is, and little bit, you just need a little bit of shaky hands and it's gone. See, I do have shaky hands. I have had shaky hands since I was in school, primary school. So probably that's why I never became a surgeon. I'm an electronic engineer. And the nice thing about this is I didn't have to buy an expensive voice recorder. All I did was to record the voice on this smartphone, and I can then edit my videos and add back the recording. So that was an advantage. This thing cost me only 300 ringgit, which is only 75 US. So that's a huge advantage, a cost saving when you're running on a very tight budget. This is my Sony A5100, which I bought for 1,400 ringgit, which is about 353 US dollars. It's a budget camera and it's just fantastic because the picture quality is fantastic. It's got a 24.3 megapixel image sensor. Let me just show you that. And it has interchangeable lenses, so that's wonderful because I can change it to a 10mm wide angle lens, or I can change it to a zoom 200 or 300mm lens. And the other thing I liked about this camera was the flip up screen. Let me just switch it on, and you can see you can actually see yourself and see how you're vlogging. How you appear. It's very nice and convenient. The only thing that I wasn't too keen about this camera was that it didn't have shutter priority and aperture priority buttons, and to adjust the aperture and shutter, and it didn't have an ISO or at least an exposure compensation button. But it doesn't matter because on a budget camera, why am I complaining, right? If you're vlogging, most likely you will be doing something planned. Okay, you won't be running around on impulse taking photographs or making videos, right? So what you do is you will set up what you want to run. You want to set it on aperture priority or shutter priority, or even a program mode, and they have a superior auto and intelligent auto mode. Okay, so that is already enough, because most of the time, like if I'm doing vlogging from in my room, it will be set at aperture priority. If I'm outdoors, I will either set it to aperture priority or shutter priority. That's straightforward enough. The original memory card was a SanDisk 16GB Ultra, which only allows me to record in MPV or AVCHD. If you want to go to use XAVCS recording, then you have to use Extreme Pro. Even the SanDisk Extreme doesn't work. It's not fast enough, so you have to switch to Extreme Pro to get you the allow recording in XAVCS. And the battery, originally the battery used was a 1000 milliamp hours battery. I used to do about only 1 day of videos. My videos about 1 minute to 5 minutes long. They're not much longer than that, but I spend about 1 hour in the morning and then half an hour to 1 hour in the evening, and the next day the battery is flat. So I changed to this battery. This is a 5000 milliamp hour battery, 36 watt hours and 7.2 volts. This will last me about 4 to 5 days at my current video recording rate. That's the wrong way. There's a direction. Okay. And version 3.10, that's the latest version. Okay, the nice thing about this camera that I really liked was the fact that it has a built-in flash. So you can see I don't have to carry around a big bulky flash just for my vlogging. I just only have to carry just this camera. I don't have to do 2 or 3 items in my carrier bag. So that became very convenient and a major consideration for me for my vlogging requirements. So in the end, it's a very good camera. It's wonderful. It's solved most of my requirements, and for the price, I think it's a wonderful camera, and the picture quality is wonderful, really wonderful.